Hi friends, it's Liv and welcome back to my channel. So today I am bringing you guys my rendition of the Ravenclaw Book Tag. If you guys know me, you know this is probably a video that I have had a long time coming because I am a very proud Ravenclaw. It is the majority of when I describe myself to someone, I don't describe my zodiac sign, I describe my Hogwarts house. So again, it is a part of who I am. But I was tagged on Twitter by my friend, the lovely Joanne from Joannotations. I will link her video down below where she did this, as well as the original video in the tag. I believe there are tags for all 4 houses if you would like to do this yourself, but essentially it is a tag all about the house that you are in. So in this case, wise old Ravenclaw and the different aspects of what being in that house truly means. I had a bunch of fun figuring out the different prompts and bringing you guys my answers. So without further ado, let's jump right in and see what is up in the house of wise old Ravenclaw. So the first question on this list is, let's go back to Hogwarts. Which is your favorite of the Harry Potter books? And for this one, I have mentioned this a few times if you do watch my videos, but it is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which is of course book 4. I don't know what it is. I am really a fan of the magical competition trope, and of course that is the entire point of this book, is the Tri-Wizard Tournament. In addition, this is also kind of the turning point of the Harry Potter series. This is when things kind of start to go from the really more light and fluffy to the darker, almost like YA books that the end of the series does end up being. This is also where the books double in size. Prisoner of Azkaban is in the 300-page range, whereas this is about 700 pages, so it does get much larger, but in that case, there's just more to enjoy. So Goblet of Fire really does probably have to be my favorite. It is also the movie I think I reach for the most, so Cedric Diggory being in this book is not a factor, it is a plus though, so keep that in mind, but it's gotta be the Goblet of Fire. Next up is, now it's time to move up the common room at the top of the Ravenclaw Tower. A riddle is needed to open the door. Challenge your viewers with your favorite riddle and answer it in the description. Okay, so I am going to tell you guys my favorite riddle and we'll see if you can guess it. The answer will be in the description below, but let me know in the comments if you did guess it correctly before checking the answer. No peeking beforehand, but my riddle for you is, the more you take, the more you leave behind. What is it? Again, no cheating, no peeking, but let's see if you got it. Number 3 is, we've made it into the common room and everything is the house colors of bronze and blue. Recommend a book with blue or bronze on the cover. This is probably a given for me, and it is the movie tie-in edition. I'm so sorry about that to when you will see that I'm recommending Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. I couldn't help it. Logan Lerman's on the cover and he's very pretty. But essentially, I'm sure you all know, this is about Percy, a 12-year-old kind of outcast who discovers that he is the son of a Greek god, and Zeus's lightning bolt has been stolen, leaving Percy to be the prime suspect. This book changed my life in so many ways, which is why when I saw blue or bronze, this was such an obvious answer for me. It's essentially a doorway into one of the most amazing connected universe series that you will ever read. I love to call this the MCU of fiction because there's so many different series about so many different gods and they interact at some points, but this is of course the first stepping stone into that fandom. So if you haven't read The Lightning Thief yet and you're looking into getting into Percy Jackson before the Disney Plus series comes out, I could not recommend this more. So number 4 is where the rest of the prompts lie, and it is the different traits of the Ravenclaw house. If you know any Ravenclaw, you will know how proud we are to be Ravenclaw, and you'll see why in just a few moments here, but the first trait we have is intelligence. So pick a cleverly written book, and for this I have chosen Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, which does of course also work for the blue on the cover. You will notice that most of these books do have blue on the cover, so I did manage to take it up a notch. My Ravenclaw side is showing very prominently today. But this book is a murder mystery that almost kind of goes back and forth between present day and the 1930s, and the fact that Maureen was able to do that and kind of weave it together so perfectly, just really shows how cleverly this was written. This does follow our main character Stevie, who has been accepted into a very elite prep school for every student has their own talent, and hers does actually deal with true crime, and she is an amateur detective. It goes back and forth between the present day of Stevie trying to solve this case that happened in 1935 where the founder of the school, his wife and daughter went missing, and the case was never solved and eventually written off as a cold case because the only piece of evidence they really had was a note signed Truly Devious. So it kind of goes back and forth between Stevie trying to solve the mystery then, as well as a new mystery that has popped up at the school, and going back to when the kidnapping initially happened. It was so cleverly written, so honestly the best choice that I did have for this. It really is truly devious. Next up we have Wit, which is to recommend a funny book, and this is another series that is almost like a connected universe, but I did want to choose the first book in that first series, which is A City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, which is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series about the Shadowhunter world. There's just something about Cassandra Clare's comedic pacing in these books. Not so much, I want to say, in the first few books, but as she goes on and as she's written more and more, I have realized how funny these books are. In particular, Clockwork Princess is actually what I think is one of the funniest books I have maybe ever read. It's really just the dynamic and the dialogue between the characters is just timed so well. I cannot get enough of their dynamics, honestly. And again, the humor in these books is so funny to where I will just sit and find myself laughing out loud, which is something really rare, I think, when I read. But there's just some things that the characters say that I'm like, oh my gosh, who gave you the right to say this? Like, I'm glad you did, but who gave you the right? But as far as funny books go, the Shadowhunter books, it's perfect. Next up we have Wisdom, to piggyback off of the initial intelligence trait, but it is to pick a book you wish your younger self could have read, and for this I am choosing Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is the first in a 5-book series following our main character Morrigan Crow, who has been cursed from a young age that she is to die on her 11th birthday. However, on her 11th birthday she is taken in by this man named Jupiter North and whisked off to this magical land called Nevermore. And it's very whimsical. It is the first in a 5-book series, as I mentioned, that is supposedly like the next Harry Potter. Not to say that that is a ripoff of the Harry Potter books, however, the whimsical nature of the book is something that reminds me of why I fell in love with Harry Potter in the first place. So I think had these books been around when I was younger and a bit more prone to like the magic that you can find in anything, I think I would have enjoyed this a lot more. I absolutely love this series, don't get me wrong. This first book got a 5 out of 5 stars. It was so brilliant, so wonderful. But I do think had I been a little younger, maybe around the same age as Morgan, I could have put myself into her shoes a lot easier and kind of been able to picture more of these scenarios. This is actually a world that I would love to live in if given the chance. And I would love to see these maybe turn into movies someday, but I so wish that like 10-year-old Liv could have read these, and it would have been just so wonderful. And last but certainly not least, we have Originality. So the prompt for this one is to pick a book that is the start of a series, and for this I am picking Disney Kingdom Keepers Disney After Dark by Ridley Pearson. How to even explain the Disney Kingdom Keepers? This is a 7-book series, and I want to say there's also a spin-off series with a few books. I don't know if all of those are released, but it is about these 5 teenagers who got a job as virtual tour guides at Disney World, but something went wrong, and at night while they are asleep, their holograms come to life in the park. So it is another really like cleverly written out there book about Finn and his friends trying to take down the magical evil overtakers, which are essentially the Disney villains who are among the Disney characters who come to life in the park at night. I have read the first 3 or 4 of these books, I want to say, when I was much younger, but I am going back and currently rereading them. I'm almost done with this one, and I'm having so much fun reliving this. Again, it is that originality that I think fit the prompt perfectly. Finn and his friends, how they have to like work together to save the day, and it all takes place at Disney World. So that's a plus. But if you are a Disney fan who has not read these yet, they're so good, they're so unique, and I really don't think I've ever seen anyone really talk about the Kingdom Keepers. So if you have read them, let me know down below, because I would love to have someone to talk about this series with. And finally, it is to tag your Ravenclaw friends to do this tag, or if you're not a Ravenclaw but you are a Harry Potter fan, to do the tag that matches your house. So I'm just gonna say, if you're watching this and you are a Harry Potter fan, I am officially tagging you. I don't make the rules, but you have been tagged, and if you have done these videos, let me know down below. I would love to know what house you're in and what book prompt you think fits your house best, so please let me know down below. And also, if you did manage to solve my riddle without the answer in the description, also let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, you can do so by hitting that button down below. Thank you again so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!